Hi, welcome to Real Voices of Happy Valley. This is our podcast in which we just chat with people who are bringing social and environmental benefit to the Calder Valley. This time it's Josie McNamara, who runs the Northern Powerhouse Boxing Academy, currently in Eastwood, planning to move to the ground floor of the Trades Club building in Hebden Bridge. This is the first boxing academy set up by and led by women in the country, apparently. It has sessions for young girls and boys, mixed sessions for the over 50s, specialising people with menopause issues. And it's about well-being and health. You don't have to go into the ring and do any sparring or boxing if you don't want to, although you can. They're currently in a warehouse in Eastwood, right next to the main road, as you will hear, between the road and the railway line, as you will also hear. And having gone through a 2-year process of getting grants and permissions and agreements, they plan to be moving into the ground floor of the Trades Club building in Hebden Bridge in the autumn.
Hello and welcome to Real Voices of Happy Valley. We're sitting in the Northern Powerhouse Boxing Academy talking to Josie McNamara. So, hello Josie.
Hello.
So, can you tell us what the Northern Powerhouse Academy is, how it started and your involvement?
Yeah, so I run the club on a day-to-day level. I'm the general manager. But the boxing club started in 2018. It's set up as a community interest company. But Interestingly, it's the first boxing club that's run by women. Mm-hmm. So predominantly all our coaches are women. Most of the people, mostly women come, but we have a lot of men and boys, and we're welcome. Anyone can come here to train. And that's really why it started, is we wanted to create an environment where women or anyone who might not feel that comfortable stepping into your traditional boxing environment, they would feel comfortable coming here and being able to use boxing for general physical and mental well-being, rather than, being too focused on the competitive side and getting people in the ring and training people to be champions. It's more like, what can boxing do for people generally in terms of keeping them fit and healthy.
What's your own background then? Are you a boxer?
No, I'm not a boxer. I grew up in the north of Scotland, where there's a lot of skiing. That's all you could do where I grew up. So I grew up I was a ski racer.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I've always worked in sports and worked with girls in sports. And actually it was after I had my children and I was ready to start kind of trying to get my fitness levels back up. I came along here just as a participant and just loved everything that it stood for. And then during the pandemic, we kind of had a change of management, and the people that were running it moved on to something else. So I just took it on during COVID, which wasn't the easiest time to take on an organisation. But yeah, we have a really strong...
You can't do social distancing while boxing.
No, but do you know what we did? We ran sessions every single day online, because it was such an important thing for people to be able to get online and see their friends and just have a chat and, get out of that isolated state of being at home by yourself. Yeah. So, and then when you can't see them anymore, but when we did reopen, and you had to have the social distancing, we could have 6 people in, which isn't very economically viable to run classes with 6 people, but we did it anyway, so we could get people back into the club.
How many members have you got, or regulars?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, usually on a year we have the footfalls around 6,000. So, you know, a lot of those people come in multiple times a week. We have a lot of young people that come to our kids' classes. But yeah, we try and run classes nearly every day. And for lots of different demographics, you know, we have over 50s, we have some that are women only, we have girls, teenage girl only classes, we have our trans non-binary boxing session. So we try and make sure that we can create a safe space for people who might not be able to feel comfortable going to exercise somewhere else.
That's great. I noticed this on the website, I think it says you've got mixed sessions, boys and girls. I was surprised by that.
Yeah.
Basically. I mean, I don't know much about the rules of boxing, but I mean, my background is football, and they sort of, I think it's at 11 they try and separate boys and girls.
Yeah. No, we do have the kids' class is a mixed session, and at that age you're not able to get into the ring anyway.
Oh, right.
So you have to be a certain age to then have your medical. So no one can get into the ring and start sparring unless they've been cleared by an England boxing doctor. So you have to have your medical. We have to believe they're ready to get in the ring. So most of what goes on here is boxing-based exercise and learning boxing technique.
I see,
rather than people hitting each other in the face.
Yes, I mean, I used to run community education centres around and about, and I was running one in Oldham. It was like they'd given us an old secondary modern building, said open that up to the community, which is a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah.
And one of the things that happened was the local boxing club said, can we come and use the gym? Now, I'm not a fan of boxing. I tried it twice. I lost one. I won one. I didn't particularly enjoy either. Didn't enjoy the winning any more than the losing. So it wasn't for me. So I asked them what benefit it was. And I was absolutely fascinated by the response about fitness, keeping kids out of trouble, etc. I mean, is that a part of what you do?
Yeah. Boxing's really well known for helping people with their mental well-being, just as much as their physical well-being. You know, you can come in here and have had a really stressful day, and then just an hour of exercising and punching the punch bags, and you're going to feel a lot better. And we run different programs as well. Like we run a program for women who are going through the menopause, because that traditionally is a time when women might stop exercising. They might have too many aches and pains. They might be lacking the confidence to feel like they can join a group. But actually keeping active and doing certain exercise and doing your kind of stress busting and doing the impact of punching is really good for your bone strength. So for that group of women, it's really beneficial to be doing boxing-based exercise. And then obviously with young people, they just love it.
They've got abundance of energy.
I was going to say it's a way to kind of get rid of some of that energy, isn't it?
And we really try and make it so it's not like school. So they're coming in here after sitting down at school all day, having fun, being able to let off some of that kind of energy that they've been storing all day. And then when you think about the teenage girls class, I coach that on a Wednesday, and we regularly have between 15 and 20 girls.
Wow.
But if you're a teenage girl and you wanted to do group exercise, what can you do? If you're not, if you're not on the sports team at school, if you're not into dance or into gymnastics, there's not really a place where you can go and exercise. And statistically, teenage girls, that's where they all stop exercising because they feel self-conscious, they lose their confidence, there's nowhere to go. They stop exercising around 13, 14, 15. And it's a bit of a crisis really, because it's completely different to if you were a young man.
They're different, because young men will go and kick a ball around between them in the street, won't they? if that still happens.
I
or
mean,
in the
football's
park.
my game, so it's been great to see girls keeping up with the football over the last few years since the Lionesses won the Euros.
Yeah, but even so, you're right, on the whole, teenage girls don't tend to go about doing strenuous things.
So I love it when they turn up here each week, and sometimes energy levels are low, sometimes they're really into it, and it's just a space that they can come into and get what they need to get out of it. And I think when we move into Hebden, that's really it's going to be the massive benefits of that space, is it's going to be so much more accessible. Where we are here on the main road, in winter, even getting off the bus and walking along this stretch is not nice at all. So, you've got to have parents that can drive you here, or you've got to feel confident getting the bus. So I think when we're in Hebden, children can just walk in themselves.
And in Hebden, that's going to be underneath the Trades Club, isn't it?
That's the ground floor of the Trades Club.
Yeah.
So what's that? It's must be about twice the size of the room we're in here in Eastwood.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot bigger. It's the main area is about 140 square metres.
So you've been through a process, haven't you, of trying to move from here into the ground floor of the Trades Club building? Yeah,
we walked in there February 2023 thinking that it was going to be quite an easy process, that we might be in within 6 months, but 2 years later, we've started the work last month.
Right.
So the work can happen quite quickly. We'll be in by September, but that process of getting all the funding that's been needed to do that space up has been arduous, and a lot of that was to do with the change of government last year. One of the big community ownership fund that we were going for, we were just about to submit our massive bid to them, and they called the general election, so that just disappeared overnight.
Everything just stopped, didn't it?
Yeah. So we were kind of back to square one, and then we went to the National Lottery. But there's lots of different funders involved in that project. We've kind of had to go to lots of different places, secure different pots of money, and now we're there.
Oh, brilliant. I mean, that's a job in itself, isn't it, applying for funding?
Yeah. And especially when you're taking on a space, the legal side of it, because obviously someone like the National Lottery needs to know that their money's being spent correctly and that you're not going to go bankrupt next week and things like that. So it's been pretty intense jumping through their hoops to get that capital funding.
And you won't have all this noise from the road on one side and the railway on the other.
Yeah.
Just the
noise from upstairs. But that's been part of it. That's part of why it's such an expensive project, is you've got a room that needs two very different things. In sound insulation from upstairs, so we've put in about £40,000 worth of sound insulation.
Wow.
Because before that, the noise of band sound checking was so loud, you wouldn't be able to run a kids class at that same time of day. But then on the other side, you've got to make that space flood resilient, because that's why it's been closed for 10 years. So kind of creating the bottom half of the room as this kind of flood resilient space that if it does flood, we can just wash it down and carry on. And then the top part being really well insulated to protect it from the sound. It turns it into an expensive project.
I'm sure, yeah.
It is, but I mean, the benefits once the building is done to both you and the Trades Club are immense, aren't they? Because the Trades Club needs to know that its future is secure and it's not going to have the noise of lots of kids. Young people just make noise. They don't necessarily mean to make noise, but they can make a lot of noise. Yeah, and if you're a quiet gig upstairs, they don't need that, and you obviously don't need the sound of the band. So, and the sound checking, which would be mostly going on in your early evening classes.
Yeah. So luckily we don't really operate at the same time of day. All their gigs usually always start after 8 o'clock, and we've finished here around 8 o'clock. But it's that sound check, or if they had a poetry recording in the afternoon. we have an agreement in place, and that was part of the legal paperwork that we needed to do, was that we will, we've agreed to work together and to respect what each other's doing and work around when there might be, a sensitive gig going on upstairs, or we've got something going on downstairs, and just to kind of live harmoniously in that building.
It does make more sense, doesn't it, than fighting each other.
It's always been the intention. I mean, I was heavily involved in the trades club for quite a long time, booking bands and what have you, and it was always the intention to work closely with other community organisations, whether it was the Arts Festival or I'm trying to remember what it was called now. It was Hebden Bridge Arts
Centre. It was a home street art centre.
That's right.
Yes. I was talking to Rebecca before. We used to have a stall at the market that was there for occasionally, on the ground floor, and that was good.
But to get a lottery grant, you need a lengthy lease.
Yes, yeah. So we have a 20-year lease.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So that is secure.
Yeah.
Oh, your teenage girls will have kids of their own.
I know.
We'll be leading classes.
Yeah, so anything over a 7-year lease, you kind of start holding the title deeds and things like that. So, one of the best things we did in this was someone who works for one of our club members applied for pro bono legal support. They just saw it online and thought, we need this. And so we've had a firm in London doing all our legal stuff for us, which we would have never been able to afford because it's been such a lengthy process. Paying lawyers to do all that, to do the lease and the deed and all that stuff, we would have broken the whole project, I think.
So, sorry if I've already asked you, but how long have you been in this space in Eastwood?
2018.
Right.
Yeah, June 2018, the club moved here.
From Salem?
No, they were in Mythenroyd Boxing Club before that.
Right.
So Kate Dacres started the club with Alex Munsey, and Alex now runs the post office in Old Town.
Oh, right, yeah.
And Kate moved to Spain, which happened a bit earlier than anticipated because of Brexit. So, but yeah, it was those two that started the club. They used to train out of the Mythenroyd, Hebden Bridge Boxing Club in Mythenroyd.
Right.
But then they wanted to create their own space and create their own club.
Okay, that's a good space, isn't it? I mean, I know you want bigger and everything, but yeah.
It's been great, and it's just we've outgrown it, and I think we do a lot more work now in the community, working with young people, and also, we're just not very accessible, those stairs alone.
Yeah.
And you look, there's some fantastic projects going on, boxing for Parkinson's, boxing for wheelchair users is so great because you can use all that upper body strength. So creating a space in Hebden where it's going to be completely step-free. We've really thought about disability access for that space to make sure that, anyone can go in there and use it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah.
And it won't just be us either. We want the space when we're not using it that other groups can use it, can rent it. We're talking, maybe the youth club might be able to use it. Yeah, there's lots of opportunities there to make it a real community asset and not just about the boxing club.
So how many of you work here for the boxing?
So we've got, so I run the day-to-day operations, and then we have a head coach, and then we have a team of around 7 coaches.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So about 10 people then.
Yeah. But we also have our board of directors, and we have a team of volunteers. So, yeah, there's quite a lot of people behind the scenes helping, keeping it all going.
That's great. So talk us through the process. Of teenage boy or girl sort of thinks, does this Northern Powerhouse just moved into Hebden Bridge? How do I find out what it is? Do I have to fight? Do I have to be a boxer? Will people punch me if I go down there? Or whatever questions they might ask. I mean, what's the process of them approaching you?
Yeah, so people usually get in touch, whether on social media or phone us up, send us a message. And the first thing we always offer is a free taster session. So they can just come along and see what, if it's for them, if they like the environment. And then we get them coming regularly to classes, and then you can start to see, there's some that definitely want to try stepping into the ring, and then there are others that absolutely never want to do that. But that's the train.
It wasn't very honest.
So you've got all ages and both sexes, but they're in groups where they feel safe.
Yeah. So we have mixed sessions, we have women only sessions. So it's really people come along to what they feel comfortable doing.
Yeah, and if they contact you, you can explain all that, how they get involved.
And how do you match people up? I mean, I'm 6 foot, they're 5 foot. I'm presuming you're going to say you two are not going in the ring together.
Yeah.
But yeah, we said, how do you measure the sort of strength or size, weight, or whatever about when matching people up?
Yeah, so we are affiliated with England Boxing, so we follow all their guidelines with regards to sparring and competitive boxing. So when they do want to get into the ring, you do have to start weighing people. It's not my favourite thing, putting like teenage girls on a scale, and it seems it's kind of archaic that's the way that it's measured, but that's the way that boxing's always been measured, is based on...
Yeah, well, you have featherweight and lightweight and heavyweight, don't you? So it's obviously on weight. Yeah.
And then when you first... No one just... I mean, you hear sometimes of boxing clubs where kids are just thrown in the ring and told to get on with it. That would never happen here. We're really careful about... Because you want, when someone has taken that step to getting into the ring, you want it to be a good experience. Yeah. You don't want them to get in there. Like you said, you had probably... Two experiences that you didn't really enjoy, which perhaps says to me you weren't really coached properly to enjoy those experiences.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And it might have just been, get in there, lad, and see how you get on. Yeah. I don't think you really get away with that in this day and age, because...
That's good.
Yeah. So we want people who do have that drive to get involved in competitive boxing to really enjoy the experience.
And it's a good way, I think, to meet people their own age, and, thinking as well of the menopausal women one, that's great, because often women going through that are self-conscious, they don't want to be seen by other people trying to do exercise. So if there's a supportive atmosphere, that must be a really good thing for them.
And that was something we started because a lot of the women that come to the club are around that age, and there were all these questions coming up and people were confused, and we thought, what can we do better to support our members and also the wider community? So we put on some workshops at the town hall with a local GP that specialises in menopause, a local physio that specialises, and we created a kind of all-day workshop where they could learn more about it and ask questions, and that's just a really nice environment for women to be able to find out more information and ask the questions they need to ask. And then we support that with like an 8-week funded training program. So we kind of say, look, the studies show that if you're doing regular exercise, that's going to really help you physically and mentally through the menopause. So then we have funding in place to help women come to the club for 8 weeks. And a lot of those women then stay on because they found a real benefit to it. So I think as a club, we're always looking for ways that we can help our local community. If we hear about, a particular group that might need support, like after lockdown, some of the kids were really struggling getting back into school. So we went into schools and did some work there. So we try and be quite flexible and do what we can to where, there's a lack of services sometimes nowadays, try and fill those gaps a little bit.
It's great, and it's it's so much more than boxing, isn't it? Yeah, particularly with the loss of youth clubs and things like that. So, I mean,
Yeah. Oh, it's been great to talk to you. So if people want to get in touch, just Google Northern Powerhouse Boxing and come up with your details.
You'll find our website if you Google Northern Powerhouse Boxing Academy. We're on Facebook, Instagram. Feel free to reach out. And we'll be putting out a lot more information as we move towards moving to the new premises in Hebden, because we expect it will get a lot busier when we're there.
Oh, that's
absolutely.
great.
Well, I certainly wish you luck and I hope it does.
Thank you.
Thanks.